Well, let's arrange some flowers today, or I guess I should say rearrange some flowers, because this is that St. Patrick's Day bouquet that I put together, was it a couple of weeks ago?
Maybe not even that
I think maybe about a week ago. At any rate, there is a lot of life left in this arrangement, but a number of the flowers are starting to do this. They're past their prime. Nevertheless, because I selected some long-lasting blooms like these carnations, there is a lot of life left in this bouquet, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to downsize it. The other reason that I want to do this is because after having this for a little over a week now, I'm kind of tired of it, and I want to reinvent it and rejuvenate it so that it looks different to me and that I can use it in different areas of my house. But I should probably begin by explaining why I have a beanie cap on indoors. It's not that my heat is out of whack or not working, Stuart, is because I am going in and out because lots of stuff is happening in the front garden today. It's very cold out, but nevertheless, we're starting to work on the flagstone patio, on filling in the irrigation channels, and oh gosh, just a number of different things. So in the meantime, while they're doing some messy work before they need my input, I've stepped inside and I'm going to do some rethinking on my flowers. These were not only these gorgeous limey green carnations, which is one of my favorite cheap flowers, I guess, but I also had some two-toned green and cream color hydrangea blooms in here, which are past their prime. I have actually rejuvenated these a couple of times by cutting them off and saturating them in the water. That's a trip that I showed a number of years ago. I probably need to show that again. But these now are past their prime, and I'm tired of resurrecting them. So I'm going to pull those out, and then I'm just going to start clipping these. Now, I also selected some mums. Let me see if I can pull one out here before it completely decomposes. Here's one that's still not in too bad a shape. I can take off some of the blemished blooms on the bottom. And that's another trick. A lot of times if you have one bloom that's really beautiful, like a rose or something, and it's starting to die, and the petals are starting to kind of decay around the perimeter of the bloom itself, then just take those off, recut it, and put it back in a vase. Now, I love the selection of vases that I have here. This is a pink of that blue and white flow china that I got from my mom, my second mom. This, I love this. This is that Kelly green that I was just so infatuated with. And this actually is a container that was a candle that I got at TJ Maxx, and I just removed the label, used some of that Gooby Gone stuff, removed the label, and I just love the color of that. Do you like that, Stuart?
It's really cool, yeah.
And it seems very, very appropriate for St. Patrick's Day. And then I have this inexpensive jade vase that I love, and I think this was part of the Martha Stewart line when she used to have some vases at, I think at Home Depot, I'm not really sure. So instead of one massive arrangement, all I'm doing is just making 3 smaller ones. Now, I'd cut some arborvitae from the garden, and you can see it's still going strong, which is a good thing because I don't have a lot of things to cut from the garden itself, though that is rapidly changing because so much is going on so quickly outside. Now, you might say this might be a little bit wintry for the season as we're going into spring, but that's okay because we're in the transitional zone of spring and winter, and I really like, look at how pretty that looks just by itself. Do you agree?
I do.
And we're in that transitional zone, so I think it's appropriate. And as I said before when I was arranging this, I just really liked the ferny quality of that arborvitae. So I'm not even going to need, and by the way, you guys, if there is foliage below the water line, you always want to remove that so that there's no bacterial buildup in the water. Now this one, I could keep working on this one, and I might add maybe one more bloom, but I like the fact that for once I'm practicing, I'm practicing a tiny bit of restraint, and I'm not overcrowding it because I really like the lines of the flowers themselves. And again, what I like about this is that I can put these in multiple locations. I can put one in my bathroom, in the guest bathroom, by my sitting table where I meditate and read. That's kind of fun. Mm-hmm. You like that tall one?
Yeah.
And it's always good to do this on a lazy Susan, and of course I never have one, but I'm going to do it just like that. I'm going to add maybe one more. This is also a fun idea. If you have a flower that is bicolored, one color on the inside and another color on the outside, then it's sometimes fun to just remove all of the outside color and leave nothing but the green. Then it looks like a completely different bloom, not unlike the color of an envy zinnia. This is also a really great thing to do if you have sunflowers that are past their prime, and you can remove all of the outdoor petals, and then you just have that wonderful dark colored disc on the inside. I like that look too. Okay, so now this one, I think this is just so sweet. I think I'm going to keep kind of a low profile with this one. The other thing you could do, of course, is take all of these small vases and cluster them all together in some kind of color theme, color grouping, running up and down your dining room table or grouped together in a tray on a sideboard. I just love when they get that kind of fluffy color. Carnations I think, are a much maligned cut flower because they are just so long-lived and so expensive. A really good size bundle of these that you can get anywhere from your supermarket to your better florist is really maybe $3.99. And they don't really have a fragrance. But again, talk about value for your buck. So Stuart, I'm just going to keep clipping. How about we speed this up so as not to bore our audience?
Okay.
And by the way, here is my question of the day. If you have a very inexpensive flower that you like to use in arrangements that you're typically buying from your grocer, I got these at Trader Joe's. If you have an inexpensive bloom that you really like to use in uncommon ways to elevate the ordinary as part of your garden-inspired life, then please let us know in the comments below. Because all too often we overlook something that we think is not special in favor of something that's a little bit pricier or might seem a little bit more unique. I was very tempted by the ranunculus, which I adore, and they had some of those there, but they weren't in great shape, and I didn't want to go ahead and buy them because I knew they wouldn't last long, in favor of these carnations that I knew would be much more long-lived. Okay, Stuart, now let's speed this up. So as you can see, I have completely reinvented this large past its prime arrangement into multiple, I think, very sweet arrangements that I can then just dribble around my house, starting with some that contain pretty much all of the elements and then getting just a little bit more monochromatic. And I do love monochromatic arrangements that have nothing but that same flower in various stages of bud and bloom. And then even those that have broken off from from the mother stem can be used in some way. Even when these are past its prime, if there's still one or two of these, you can continue to get some enjoyment out of those few that are left. And this is especially valuable, I think, if the blooms are fragrant. So you can set them like this just in your bathroom or somewhere where you can enjoy their fragrance. And I think it's just a really economical way to get the biggest bang for your buck out of your cut flowers. So Kayla and I are in the back right now in our boxwood holding station, our inventory of boxwoods, deciding on which ones that we want to use up and around the patio. It's kind of an embarrassment of riches, isn't it? I'm so glad I took these from the old house. A lot of them need to be pruned. Kayla, I'm going to come beside you. So excuse me, you're in my way, darling.
Sorry.
I can't believe you. I can't believe you can't read my mind after all these years of working together. Right. But I mean, these are some beautiful boxwoods. So, and the nice thing is, Kayla, is we've identified some that are beautiful on the front but have kind of a bad backside. So we can use some of those right around the patio where the ugly side will be up against the porch. So what we're doing is we're doing this very organically. We're going to put a couple in place, and then those two will tell us which other ones need to be selected. And I've also got some up in front in pots, don't I, Kayla, that we can use. Mm-hmm. So these are all rotating in and out. They've rotated to the cottage on the hill from my old house, and now we're rotating them out into the front, and we'll decide what we want to do with them. So these I think we were rather in amazement at how well they had been healed in. Victor did that for us, and so now we can use them. And once they get a nice trim and the weather warms, I can hardly talk, Kayla, I'm so cold, and the weather warms, I think these will be beautiful. So it turned cold today. And I think Kayla, you said it was supposed to get down into the 20s tonight. Yeah, upper 20s tonight. So what's happening today is, as I discussed earlier, they're taking out all of the foundation plantings that will be on the north side of the patio, which will give us a little bit more real estate for the patio itself. And as I've told Kayla, I always reserve the right to change my mind about a few things. So if we feel like the space for the patio is a little too tight, we can always expand it a bit, but I don't anticipate that being the case. And it already looks much more massive now, doesn't it? Without those being there. And then Kayla, you want to come over here and let's talk a little bit about our playing, because we're playing with some gravel here. We've done a couple of different recipes, and I think this is the recipe we're kind of deciding on. And this has how many different components, Kayla?
3. So we've got 5/8 inch to 7/8 inch Aztec River Rock in these larger ones. Then the gray is called Gray Hawk.
Like a crushed gravel.
Yep, almost crushed. It's 3/16. And then all of the multicolor is a 3/16 Aztec River Rock.
And this will go in between the crevices of the flagstone, which we will take great care to ensure that they are level to avoid tripping or anything. There'll be a little bit of brick intermixed with this in a herringbone pattern. And then I told Kayla that, well, describe this stone to me, what it is.
So this is a silver mist flagstone, 2 inches thick. Just, you know, comes from most all of our rock yards have them. Some of them are called slate, some of them's called silver mist.
And is this a local quarried?
It's local to Oklahoma.
Okay. So, and I told Kayla to try to dirty up the stone face as much as possible, which we will do in the process of laying it, because I want it to look old immediately, old and in place immediately. And you can already see that we can get that effect pretty quickly. And then, of course, over time, lichen, moss, things of that nature will grow on it and give it the kind of green mossy English patina that I like, lived in patina that I like. And then in between the stones, you're going to add a little bit of dirt.
We're going to add a little bit of dirt mixture with our gravel, so that way you can seed, plant.
Some seed things. I think I'll probably plant a little bit of thyme and things like that. So it will almost immediately have a very lived-in feel, a very lived-in, old-aged look. So that's what we've got on our schedule for today. These guys are such troopers, Kayla, to be out here in the cold.
3 days.
3 days? Okay. Give or take 3 days. Yep. So that's what's going on here today on this very, very cold pre-St. Patrick's Day. Pre-St. Patrick's Day. So there you go. I appreciate it. Anything else I need to?
We will also figure out your steps today.
Okay, yes, and we will be working on figuring out the steps, and as we do that, I will of course share it with you. This is something that we have delayed until we could get a good feel for what this would look like in the space. I do want some greenery in the back that'll kind of soften things, but we'll discuss that a little bit later. So for now, I'm going to call it quits because my fingers are about frozen. Well, here you go. So now this is pretty much cleared out, and you can see how much more space there is now coming all the way back to the wall of the cottage. Now notice here where this area is still elevated, and that's because this is going to be something of a not necessarily raised bed, because this was the original soil depth right here. But in this space is where I'm going to have a large mound of boxwood and evergreens, that most of which you saw me and Kayla selecting some of them in the back, and they're going to be nestled in this area. So they'll be planted such that it kind of overlaps over the corner. You won't even see the edge of the porch itself, and you won't really know where the porch is and begins. I'm not so concerned about people falling into this space because there'll always be something here. The other thing is, at some point in time, maybe I will consider having another section of wrought iron over here, but that's not a luxury I can do right now till this is finished and I start seeking HP approval on a few different things. But Stuart, can you see how much more depth we have now in this patio area than we did before? And these guys have just been, you've been really working hard, haven't you? Yeah. But I did give you hot chocolate, didn't I? We all had hot chocolate. So they'll just continue the dirt work, and we're using some of this soil to backfill some of the irrigation ditches.
Level it up a little bit over there.
Yeah, level it up a little bit. He's not mic'd up. So level it up a little bit in the front. You can see what they're doing down there. Kayla is showing them where to put some of this fill dirt so that it is filling in some of the ruts. And it will also kind of help fertilize the grass down there before we come in with probably some kind of organic fertilizer a little bit later. Now the thing is, we've just got multiple areas that are going on at once, and Sergio and Javier, this is your spot, right? This is your spot. Though, Sergio, you were over there working on the sprinkler system.
Yeah.
So by the end of today, probably all my sprinkler ruts are going to be filled in, won't they? Yeah, so I won't worry about tripping into them anymore. And it'll start looking more like a front yard, just minute by minute. Look at this big old root that Sergio has excavated. Yep, yep. So a little bit of garden anthropology going on. And they are doing best practices down here, aren't you, Kayla? I said you're using your best practices down there to fill in those ruts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Kayla's not mic'd either. But we're trying to make it as level as possible. And then a good rain.
It is, yeah, we're not going to pack that, real hard. We're going to let that kind of settle naturally. Second reason for doing that is just the natural lay of that land. If I go to packing that real hard, it's going to force us to sod it.
And we don't want to do that.
Because it'll be packed too hard for the Bermuda grass to come up through it. So
And
one little area down there, I'm going to have to till it. But again, we're not going to pack it super hard.
the other thing I think we should let people know, Kayla, is that clay soil, and this is pretty good clay soil, but still has some clay in it. Clay soil, although it doesn't have very good tilth, there's not a lot of air in between the different soil pockets, it nevertheless is very nutrient dense.
Yes.
And so it's not at all nutrient deficient. So this will not only serve as a physical infill for the ruts, but it will also really fertilize that grass.
Right.
So,
And if you'll remember, a lot of this that we pulled off up here is at my shop being housed right now. And it has all of the grass clippings in it.
yeah, some of the roots
Right.
from the Bermuda grass system.
As the Bermuda grass starts growing, we'll bring it out and put a light coating on your Bermuda grass so that your current Bermuda grass gets that nutrient without having to add a lot of harsh artificial
Yeah, supplements.
fertilizers.
Yes,
and,
yeah.
Right.
The other thing is, so I don't confuse people, it's only the area around the perimeter of the property where I will have grass. There will not be any grass up here. Even this that you see right here, this will go away, and this will be nothing but solid plants, flagstone, gravel, brick, but it should just look like a little oasis. Just a little oasis at our cottage on the hill. Thank you, darling.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll see ya.